I assumed that that movie would just be for my family. Hey, aunt and uncle, watch this at Thanksgiving dinner and check it out, what I did for Poppy.
How old were you at the time?
It was 2014 when we started shooting it. So, like I said, I assumed that it would just be for my family, and athletes started calling. Like Evander Holyfield came on board, Allison Felix, Apollo Ono. We had an incredible group of athletes that wanted to support inclusion and acceptance and diversity in sports, and we ended up making a movie way greater than I anticipated, and including all these famous athletes, Greg Louganis included, Robbie Rogers, and we ended up getting a deal for distribution, and the movie came out like wide, and we did this deal with the CBC in Canada, and then you can watch it on every platform in the US.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Be Yourself podcast, the podcast on expressing our true selves with Sergey. Today my guest is Keli Price. He's a film producer and the CEO of Price Productions. Keli produced films like Bandit, Catnip with Chevy Chase, On Thin Ice, and others. So Keli, welcome to the show.
Sergey, thank you so much for having me, man.
Listen, you have one of the most appealing professions that I can think of. Can you tell me right off the bat, how did you get into producing movies, and how did you start Price Production?
It was 100% an accident how we started Price Productions. I was an actor first, and all of a sudden I had this idea to do a documentary on my great-grandfather, who had this crazy sports story in the 1920s and 30s. And he was a Jewish immigrant, and he came into Ellis Island in 1923 for a better life and escaped the anti-Jewish pogroms just before the Holocaust, and really started an amazing life for himself and became a world-class speed skater and beat Olympic champions off the ice, but wasn't able to skate on Olympic ice because of the double stigma at the time. And so I grew up hearing his stories and just wondered what it would be like for me if I wasn't able to win an Oscar or a Golden Globe just because of something I couldn't change at the core, right? So I wanted to do something for him, and I started making this documentary. I just called some cinematographers I'd worked with as an actor, and we went to Ellis Island and we shot where he came in, and we went to his plaque that says his name, Jack Brooks. And I took my grandfather with me, his son. Mm-hmm. And it was a super emotional day and emotional moment when we found his plaque at Ellis Island. And we shot all of that stuff. And I assumed that that movie would just be for my family. Hey, aunt and uncle, watch this at Thanksgiving dinner and check it out, what I did for Poppy. And
how old were you at the time?
It was 2014 when I made it. When we started shooting it. So, like I said, I assumed that it would just be for my family, and athletes started calling. Like Evander Holyfield came on board, Allison Felix, Apollo Ono. We had an incredible group of athletes that wanted to support inclusion and acceptance and diversity in sports. And
absolutely,
we ended up making a movie way greater than I anticipated, and including all these famous athletes, Greg Louganis included, Robbie Rogers, and we ended up, getting a deal for distribution, and the movie came out like, wide, and we did this deal with the CBC in Canada, and then you can watch it, on every platform in the US, and I did not anticipate that would obviously be the case, but people came to the screening and saw what we did and just asked me how I put the talent package together, how I financed it, how I did it all, and hadn't ever made a movie before. And I really had no idea how I did it. I just had the persistence to do something for my great-grandfather because I made a promise to him before he passed, and I really didn't feel good that I hadn't done anything for him. So it was almost like I just kept the ball rolling because I had a promise to my great grandfather that I had to do something for him. So I could not stop. And we did it. And the movie came out and our company was born. So it was a complete, like I said, accident. I was an actor. I didn't know if I was ever going to produce or wanted to write or direct or anything.
Yeah.
And now we produce 4, 5, 6 movies a year
Wow.
at our company, Price Productions. And it all started from that one movie that was just a promise to my great grandfather that I had to keep.
Wow. So many questions. First of which is, do you think that all the film schools and things that people go study for years and years and years are overrated? I don't know, like, because it seems like how maybe you had an innate talent for this specific vertical, but how is that possible that without having the specific education, you were able to pull off something that other people wanted to know how you did?
It's a really, really, really good question. And I will say that, and I really, really firmly believe this, that persistence and resilience and all of those qualities get you so much further. Like if you don't have those qualities and you have the schooling, but you don't have what it takes and the grit and the determination and all that stuff that you cannot teach, right? It's just you have it or you don't. If you don't have that, you can have all the schooling in the world, but it may not help you. And so I feel like that honestly got me most of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I did pick up so much because I was involved in the film space and TV space for so long. I mean, I got involved as a kid, right? So I was always on sets. I was always picking up things. I was always learning, talking to directors, DPs, line producers, EPs, everybody on set, and just figuring it out as I went on each project, even though I was just an actor. You're still, when you're immersed in an environment, and sometimes you don't even think that you're learning, but you are. So I feel like that, while it wasn't the typical film school schooling, it was really helpful for me. And I always say, like, being on set and just doing it yourself could get you really, really far, because there are a lot of things that school doesn't teach you. I mean, you talk about film school, but regular school too. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I wish I knew when I went into the real world. Like, oh man, I wish that would have been taught in school, but you figure it out on your own. So I think having the experience constantly going from set to set to set to set, and even just making short films or movies at home and just doing it gets you pretty damn. I mean, it could help you learn a lot, and then coupled with the persistence and everything that we talked about, you couple those together, the knowledge and the resilience and determination and all that stuff, and you pretty much
great things happen. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Full immersion always works. It just feels that you couldn't be doing anything else. Like that was your calling. Have you ever thought of this word? What do you think that's your calling in life, to be involved in movie making?
That's also a freaking phenomenal question. Really good. You're good, man. You're good.
Thank you.
I would say when you said that, I had a gut feeling like my calling is to be a father, right? That's my calling.
Cool.
And that's just unmatched. I mean, however, from a career perspective, yes, I couldn't see it any other way. It's my absolute career calling to be a producer and make movies and and problem solve and put it all together. And yeah, there's nothing else that I would rather do from a career perspective. And it's a part of your life. And yeah, I guess it's a calling in a way, but, when you look at everything from afar, it's always been that way for me. My calling was always film from a career perspective, and my calling in life was always to be a dad. It was always like that. And there's some people that will tell you, oh yeah, no, it's never really been that way for me. But there are other dads or moms that I talk to, and parents that I talk to that say, yeah, no, it's been my calling as well. And so I'm lucky that yeah, I guess I'm lucky that was a part of my journey, is always wanting to be a dad and having that. But yeah, from a career perspective, it was always film. Even when I was an actor, right? Like, it was always film. I always knew I wanted to do it. I was always seeing things as a film. I was always, walking home from school, I remember just hearing songs in my head going, that's the end credit song, then going home and making the movie with my brother. It was my life. It is my life, right? So those two things for sure, the family and film. I was joke around family, film, sports, like and music. Those four things, like, if you want to know who I am or what I like or my passions, yeah, family, film, sports, music.
Speaking of what you learned as an actor, or as you were growing up, that you were able to utilize, maybe in different shape or form, as you are now running the production company, what are the things that are like hidden gems, something that you can say is overlooked as far as producing great movies? Anything pops to your mind?
Something that's overlooked when you're thinking about becoming a producer that you might not have thought about prior, that just hits you and you're like, that kind of thing? Yeah, I don't think you realize, well, I didn't realize when I was starting out as a producer that you really don't sleep on set. I mean, you really don't. You're constantly going, and you're fueled, really. I am on these sets like by adrenaline, because it's constantly bang, 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 bang. And when you're finally like in your hotel room, relaxing, you're planning for the next day. You're calling a million people. You're remembering things that have to get done. I do not think that I understood that element at all. It's a nonstop. And that's why when people leave set or finish a movie, it's like, I know like a lot of directors or producers that finish a movie and like they're unreachable for the next like.
They're gonna want to unwind totally, right?
Just sleeping. I mean, yeah, they're just. Yeah, it's just like it's like going through the tundra, and then you're just constantly going, like battling, and then all of a sudden it's just like, so it's literally that way. Like on some productions, you do not rest. It's impossible, right? It's just you rest as much as you possibly can, but it's rare. And on one of our last sets, I would fly home on our day off for 24 hours just to be with my wife and my son. And so, you couple that into it, and it's wild, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm certainly someone that thrives when I'm busy.
Yeah.
And when I have so much happening and when there's chaos. And I think that's what makes someone a good producer, is having all that stuff thrown constantly, all these curveballs that you're not expecting, and literally just being able to take on each task and just get it done without getting overwhelmed. I think there are certain individuals that, all that stuff could be happening, and that's when they might be at their worst. I've always been lucky that that's actually when I'm at my best. And, there might be other times when things are like easy and I'm like, having a bad day or whatever. It's just not clicking for me. But there's something about, like, I'm always that guy that I want to be at the plate when, it's the ninth inning and 2 outs and we're about to lose the World Series. I want to be that guy. I want to help that, I want to get it done for the team. Give me the ball, so that's the way that I am. But I didn't know, like I said, how crazy and how nonstop the producer life, especially on set, can be. And I don't know if anyone really knows, like, coming out of film school either, like your professors or whatever can give you an idea. But I don't think you really, and that's why I like I said before, getting on set and actually doing it helps dramatically, especially if you have that previous knowledge from film school or wherever it may be.
You're that person who's having the headset or the radio, and people from all around, like, the set, kind of tell them what's wrong, right? And you're figuring things out. Is that correct? Is that right? What's going on?
Yeah. It's like, I'm the guy that, like, the actors are on set, everyone's on set, and if you walk on, it's like, it's easy breezy. If only they knew what was going on underneath. But that's a producer's job, to make sure that the set is easy breezy and that everything underneath stays underneath and it's handled internally. And, every task and every fire, if you will, gets put out. And it's a producer's job to make sure that the actors and everyone feels that loving, safe, calm environment. But it is true, especially on indie film, there's always things going on underneath. And if you can stay calm and handle them, you could still have an amazing time. Like, I love being on set, and I feel like it's always fun and it's a blast. But yeah, absolutely. To your question, yeah, it's always keeping those things from getting out and just handling them internally.
Quick question on your specific duties, not even your duties, out the structure of this, how the set works. You have the director, right? You have actors, and you have the person who managing all the chaos. That's pretty much how it works. Okay. Really interested to know, what do you think are the secrets for creating a really marvelous piece of art, aka short film, movie, anything that you can share with us, people who only consume movies or films, right? So what are the things that should be always followed to really create a special product?
The elements that are necessary in order to create a marvelous piece of art or a beautiful
if you can even list them, like top 5 things, that would be just awesome.
Yeah, that you need in place. I mean, you need a brilliant director. I mean, if you're making a beautiful piece of art, you need a director that is honed in, that is may or may not have the experience. I mean, I've seen first-time directors really knock it out of the park, but I think even they had prior experience, even if it was with short films, music videos, etc. So they knew their way around a set, because in order to make a beautiful piece of art, I think the director is the craftsman of that art, right? And you have the writer and you have the producers, but the director is really, for film, is really crafting that piece of art. So I think if the director is calm, cool, and collected, has a decent amount of experience, knows his way around a set, and knows the project inside and out, that goes a tremendous way.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have producers that are, gritty and work hard and know how to make a deal and know how to problem solve and put the fires out and keep the fires from spreading. So if you have that and you have a brilliant director and you have a seasoned screenwriter that wrote an incredible script that's unique, and you have actors that are fantastic and genuine, and also genuine people and easy to be around on set, and you have a crew that meshes, preferably work together before, and they know how each other works, so everything moves like a unit.
And oftentimes the crew actually work with same producers, right? It's not rare that the crew, right, it kind of works with the same executive producer on different projects.
It's not rare at all. Yeah. I mean, it's not rare. I like to work with the same UPMs, DPs, line producers. If I meet someone on a set that I love, I'm like, let's go. Let's move on to the next, because
you invite them to your next project. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you always find gems in crew or in cast or in the production team. Or, you always find that gem and go, all right, yeah, this person's got it. They got it. And we're going to work together probably on everything moving forward, because, a gem is sometimes harder to find, right? So yeah, you find people that are special and bring them aboard the ship, if you will, and move on to the next one. So if all those elements are clicking, and I think you got a really good chance of making something special.
What projects did you work on where everything was clicking that you're really proud of? And maybe you can highlight a person who you want to give props to, or I don't know, crew, something like that.
Yeah, so I have a lot of projects that had that feel, and I mean
synergy.
Yeah, and I mean even going back to our first movie, right, which was On Thin Ice. I mean, it was very much that way. It was a passion project, so every single person involved was passionate, and even the athletes who had their own personal stories, they were still very, very passionate about the cause and what we were trying to do and how we were trying to unite people and athletes and making a level playing field, if you will, or a more level playing field, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So that movie was very special, and my brother was involved, and I remember him coming with me and our DP to several interviews, and we had several that were just my brother and I, and I'll never forget those experiences with him. And I still talk about them and I see them like they were yesterday. And it was very, very special. So I'll never forget that. So props to my brother, Nico. He's incredible. And he also was one of the editors on that movie too. And he's fantastic. So props to him and shout out to him. We had a DP on our movie Catnip with Chevy Chase and Bruce Dern. And I'm going to butcher his last name. So I'm probably have to tell you to spell it out or something. But his name is Yuri. He's German. He's fantastic.
DP is how do you extend
director of photography.
Okay, cool.
So he's based in Germany, and so he's unbelievable. I mean, his presence on set and his demeanor and talent, I mean, everything coupled together, I mean, it was a home run. I mean, we were cracking jokes the entire time. We had this running joke on set that we would, just constantly, and we kept it light and fun. But he was so zoned in and talented while keeping that calm, cool, like fun demeanor. And like I said earlier, you want to have fun on set. And this guy was just a nice guy, like good person, and just really, really, really fun. And I've told him how incredible he was. And I think Bruce Dern also said something to him as well that I got on video, but I didn't get the entire thing. But I tell almost everybody how great this guy is. So shout out to Yuri. And at some point, I'll figure out how to pronounce his last name.
We'll find him. We'll have in post-production.
I know, right?
Sweet. I have a question that I have been looking for an answer myself. How do you balance between commerce at the expense of a product? But is there even a problem of this kind in Hollywood where, directors do something for mass market or whatever it can be, but the actual art is not that good, right? So if you're not well-known, world-known director like Tarantino, you cannot pull off something like he does, right? So how hard it is to start with a very unique style, or is it something that actually always at great value?
I think you can have a unique style and have a lot of success even as a newer director or filmmaker. I think that's what people see, and I talked about finding gems on set and like that kind of stuff earlier. And I do think that when I find a director that is super unique and has his own shtick and vision and is like Gus Van Sant, Tarantino, you can name all the greats. They've all got their niche and their thing. And when Gus Van Sant's name comes up, directed by, to start in the opening credits, usually what you're kind of getting into, but he's got his own style. And you look at David Fincher, Cronenberg, David Lynch. I mean, talk about unique.
Yes,
so
yes, sir.
All of those guys had tremendous success because they didn't put themselves in the same bucket as everyone else. They said, this is who I am. This is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do. And I think that always goes far. So
what do you think about the rise of streaming services?
What do I think about them? I mean, they can be incredible vehicles for content. I mean, it's the rise of, record something on your phone and throw it on YouTube and it gets millions of views, or throw it on social media and millions of views. And then people are calling to make it into a feature when you made a 5-minute short on, a social media platform or whatever. So I think we're in a really unique stage, especially with AI. And but the streamers, I mean, if you're number one on a streamer, you're golden and everyone's seeing it. Like if you have a number one movie on Netflix or Apple TV or Paramount Plus or Hulu, you might have the number one movie in the country. I mean, it's wild what streamers are now. It's like it used to be the movie has to be number one at the box office in theaters and blah, blah, blah. now you can be number one on or place on a, in the top 5 on Netflix or Hulu, and can literally be one of the top films in the country or in the world. So it's a different beast. And that's what I think about the entire landscape.
Yeah. Speaking of building a rapport with people and having this joyful experience at work, what are the traits that you think allow you to be that good at what you do? And like, do you think it's important, a question that I really like, to kill your ego, specifically in your job?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard sometimes, to I guess apologize or say that, someone is right or whatever, if you know that you're not wrong.
Yeah. Take the high road.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with, talent and crew and all these things, even if, you have talent or whatever that can, you have a little bit of a situation, I guess, like you were kind of alluding to, that isn't always, a perfect, environment, or I think that, as a producer, you have to take the high road. Yeah. And so, I mean, there have been so many times in my life and career and whatever where I've said, no, this is wrong, but taking the high road, I think it's important, but there's always a middle ground, and there's always, it's about communication. So to answer your question, I think, if someone is like jamming down a producer's throat or something, and that producer knows that this is wrong, because I'm sure that obviously that happens, is handling it with care and proper communication. I was sitting next to David Koechner on one of our movies. I'll never forget a movie actually that just screened called Tender, that I was an EP on, and I was in it as well. And we had David Koechner on Reboot Camp, one of our first movies, and such a great guy and pleasure to be around. And talking about all the elements, he's certainly got all of the elements. He's a pleasure to have on set, and he's an incredible actor, incredible person. I was sitting next to him, and my wife called. We were on set, and she said something like, "I'm at the front door and it's locked." And I said, "Oh," and I was supposed to keep it open for her or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh boy. And she's like, "Do you have the key or did you leave it?" I was like, check my pocket or something. I was like, "Yeah, I got it. And I was like, "I'm so sorry." I'm so sorry that, like, I'll meet you now, and we came up with a plan, and hung up the phone. And she was like in a rush for a meeting. It was like a bad situation, but she's incredible and she handled it well. But I apologized and blah, blah, blah. And Koechner's sitting next to me, and he turns to me after the call and goes, "You're a good communicator. You're a good communicator." And that was it. That's all he said. And I'll never forget that moment, because I wasn't really thinking about, anything other than, okay, I fucked up, and owning up to it. And I think that's a really important quality to have in life and in film, and just, taking your losses. You're always going to get an L, right? So you're going to have losses, but as long as you can stack up those wins, you'll be all right. But that was definitely an L for me. I mean, I messed up. And so I think that's the proper, that's what you got to do. If you want to have those qualities to lead, you have to admit your failures, and you have to be able to communicate. And even when if that call had gone the wrong way, and maybe I was being yelled at or whatever it was, having to find that ground where you can communicate effectively, even in those moments that don't feel safe or don't feel, appropriate. So as a leader, I think that's your job, to be able to communicate effectively and lead. And so, communication is key. And then having that drive and that determination to get the job done, no matter what the obstacles, and is equally as important. Like we talked about this entire Zoom, and I think that's like a through line of this interview. But I can't say enough about communication. And as I remembered that moment with Keckner, and like I said, I wasn't thinking about it, but he shined a light on that, and it helps you to dive into that even more. So, yeah.
Yeah. As we're wrapping up, I started this podcast trying to help myself from 5 years ago, because I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I sold an equity in my company, so I was doing corporate business, in e-commerce, but I wasn't really having fun coming to the office every day, and making a serious face. It wasn't my life, So on the outside it looked great, but in reality I didn't love what I was doing. And right now I just try to help people around the world who are yet to find, the love of their life, maybe personally or professionally. So for those people who are still looking for this something, what would be your advice?
Still looking for their passion?
Yeah. Specifically professionally, yeah.
Yeah. My advice would be, to keep, if you're doing something that you don't like, you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, you just shouldn't be. It doesn't lead to anything that would make you happy if you're doing something every day that you don't like. So I would say, take that risk, take that leap, and find something that you love. And it may be that you just leave what you're doing now, and you have to deal with whatever, I guess, consequences are with that, but they would be far less than staying in a job or in a career or in a marriage or whatever that you are unhappy with. I think that's the worst possible thing that someone can do, because you never know when your last day is going to be. I mean, for myself, I want to wake up every day and have a great freaking time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Who doesn't? I mean, we're here. Literally, I could get in a car crash and be dead tomorrow, or something can happen and I can be dead tomorrow. I mean, literally. So finding
Things
something
can
that
change
you
on
love.
a dime. Yeah.
On a dime, man. I mean, I've seen it. I had an amazing close friend that was a brother to me, incredible career ahead of himself. And he had cancer and just passed. But he had an incredible career ahead of him. Young guy, like 3 years older than I am. We talk almost every day, and then just gone. Right?
Out of nothing, cancer, wasn't even something that could happen like genetically, or he didn't know about it at all, right? Out of the blue? Yeah,
I mean, he was when they found it. Yeah, I mean, he had no idea. I think he was living with it for a year or so and didn't know. I don't know how long, but it was a good amount of time where he didn't know, and then they found it. But that's the type of thing. Like I guess I've been fortunate, but not so. I've had some instances like that where I really learn to live life every day to the fullest. And so I would just say to everyone, if you're unhappy in a certain area of your life, just change it. And that's one of the things that Gianni, his name was Gianni Falcone, that he said to me on probably our last, thank you, probably on our last phone call. He said, if there's something that you want to do, do it. If there's someone you want to be with them. If there's a career path you want to follow, just do it. If there was something that you want to do with your son or your wife or whatever it is, something that you've been scared of, do it. And I think that is so powerful. And he said, that's just something that you just learn on your deathbed, and you learn with experience, because he said in his 20s, he was not taking those leaps. And if he would have known that this is what his trajectory was, or what his life was going to be, and it was going to end here at 37 or 38 or however old he was, he would have taken all those leaps. Told me to take, and I think that's an incredible, powerful message to everyone. So, do it.
Amen. Thank you. That was Keli Price, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sergey.
You're looking for a quality video production provider? Look no further. My name is Sergey and I own Beverly Production. We are a video production agency from Ukraine. We help entrepreneurs to create credible online, offline podcasts and clips that drive interest, to promote your podcast. As a podcaster myself, I early realized that there are not that many podcasts that put an emphasis on quality and creativity, just making your videos look really, really cool. That's why we mix our videos up with different visual aids, sound effects, flashy transitions. We do dynamic switching and other cool creative things that just set apart your podcast from your competition. You can check our samples on the website, and we also help people to post the videos. So we take over YouTube management, and we can also run TikTok and LinkedIn for you. So if you're interested in something of this kind, don't hesitate to book a call with me. The contacts are available on the website. Thanks a lot.